Hi and welcome to this week's episode of the Chelmsford Property Show. My name's Neil Baldock.
I'm Matthew Baldock.
We're the owners of Charles David Casson Estate Agents based in Chelmsford City Centre.
Every week we're going to bring you an update on the Chelmsford property market and hope to answer some of your questions. We've had a few questions through this week, so thank you to everybody that's been asking. Just a reminder, obviously you can find us on Facebook if you search for Charles David Casson Estate Agents, or you can tweet us using the handle @CDC_Chelmsford and use the hashtag Chelmsford Property Show, and that way we can pick up your questions. So what questions we had this week?
We've had a couple of people ask us this week regarding who is best placed to do the viewings on the property. More really relevant to when we're selling properties. People are asking who is best placed to carry out the viewing. Should it be the owner of the property or should it be the agent? So what's your feelings on that?
Okay, so there's obviously no steadfast rule. I have my own thoughts, but ultimately it's your house and you have to do what you feel most comfortable with. We carry out the viewings for probably 90% of the properties that we market for sale for varying reasons. Some owners, sometimes you're just not comfortable showing somebody kind of walking around the house. I've had one customer many years ago tell me they want to get their money's worth out of me, so they insist that I go and do it all. And I have other customers that intend that they're best placed to show the property. I mean, my personal view is, look, if you've owned the property, you've lived there for many years, you obviously will know the ins and outs of the house. You'll know the bits of the house. By the same token, I've lived in Chelmsford my whole life. Coincidentally, you've lived in Chelmsford your whole life. And our staff and our team are all local people. So, we have the local knowledge of the property and of the area. And what I find is that when we're showing a buyer around a property, they can just be a bit more honest with the agent.
So I often find they do feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because they can speak frankly in front of us.
Exactly. Because people aren't buying products. Houses aren't, it's not like you're just going and looking at a car. It's someone's home and it's very personal. So when a buyer will look at a house, if they're being shown by the owner, we'll often find we'll say, oh, we love it, yeah, we love it, we'll phone the agent, and it gets your hopes up. Whereas with us, they can just be a little bit more frank. They feel they can take a bit more time to look around. They don't feel they're being intrusive if they want to go back into a room a couple of times. And they can ask some more frank questions probably. So in my view, it's best for the agent to do the viewing, and we're more than happy to accompany all of our viewings. I mean, we have properties for sale. I've got one in Mayland currently at the moment. We sell places out in Clacton. So no matter the distance, we're happy to go and accompany those viewings. And my view is that's the better way to do it. But ultimately, it's your home and you've got to be happy with what's happening.
Okay. So the other thing it's probably worth us mentioning is if people are going to do their own viewings, we've got a way that we particularly conduct viewings. How would we sort of recommend the best way to conduct a viewing?
Okay, so if I run through kind of my idea of the perfect viewing, and then we can correlate to if you're living there. So the first thing that we do is I make sure I'm at the house in plenty of time. So the last thing I want to do is turn up on a viewing and the viewer be at the doorstep waiting for me. Now, obviously, if you're living at the property, chances are you're going to be there, but it's worth bearing in mind on things like school runs. If your agent wants to do a viewing at 3:15, for argument's sake, and you think it's going to be a bit tight on the school run, then say, look, can they wait and maybe come at 3:30, 4:15, give you time to get in. So the first thing is obviously make sure you're there in plenty of time. The first thing I do when I enter the property, before the viewers turn up, is I just make sure all the curtains are open. So, have the house looking as light as possible.
It's worth putting the actual lights on in the house, isn't it?
Yeah, if it's a particularly dark room, get the lights on. If you can have a room that's bright enough without the light, then the natural light's always better, because people say, oh, it's got to have a light on because it's it's kind of dark. But yeah, so curtains open, lights on. If you've been cooking something, or there's or if the house has been empty for a while and it's a bit musty, maybe get a window open. Obviously, depending on the time of year. This time of year, you don't really want your windows open. So that's the next thing to do. And then when the viewers come, obviously, there really isn't a great secret to kind of showing property. It can be a bit awkward. This is a bathroom. It's fairly obvious what a bathroom and a kitchen are. If you're getting those mixed up as an agent, you're probably in the wrong job.
It can be sometimes if people aren't that confident, it can be an awkward situation bringing people into their own home, can't it? But I think it's important to have a conversation with the viewer, isn't it?
Exactly. So as I'm showing somebody around, we're generally making conversation, where have they come from, that kind of thing. The other thing is, a trick, if you like, for viewing, is find the best room in your house. Now, most, at the moment, kitchens are really in fashion. These lovely open kitchen family rooms. If you've got one of them. And it's good if you can show the same room twice, if you like. So what I tend to do is, if I greet somebody at the front door, I'll perhaps, if the kitchen's lovely or you've got a lovely big spacious lounge, I'll walk them into that room. And then what I personally do is I set the agenda. So I say, thanks for coming out, lovely to see you. What I'm going to do is show you around the property once, then we can go back and revisit any rooms you'd like to look at, and I'll answer any questions. Obviously, if you're the homeowner, it's probably not going to be that formal, but if you can walk them into the room so they get a glimpse of this fantastic room you've got, then show them the house, and then walk back into the room and say, do you have any questions? Then they've been in the best room twice.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of sticks in their mind. Yeah, a little bit more.
The other thing I think, personally, I find is it's worth not finishing the viewing outside. So don't make the last thing you do take them outside and show them your integral garage, or take them outside and show them the garden.
Sure.
Because the viewers potentially got a quick getaway then, haven't they? And we're obviously not trying to hold people hostage, but equally, as you say, bring them back into, say, like the sort of the most popular room in the house.
Exactly.
And just have a nice conversation with them there. Let them enjoy it.
Yeah, precisely. At the end of the day, there's no real selling on the viewing. The sales job has been done by the agent in getting them through the front door. No matter how good you are at speaking, and and how much of the gift of the gab you've got, and believe me, I've got a lot better in person than on camera. You're not going to convince someone to spend 300, 400, 500,000 pounds if they don't get what I call the feeling. So when you walk through a front door, you get a little shiver down your spine, and you know if it feels like home or not. Yeah. And anybody out there, if you own your own home, I virtually guarantee you got that when you bought your house. On paper, it might not be exactly what you thought you were looking for, but it just felt right. And you can't get around that. So it's just a case of being polite, being courteous, having the house tidy and light, showing it to the best abilities. But there's no hard sales pitch. It's just answering any questions. As the agent, I always like to make sure I know where the boiler is. With so many combi boilers being installed now, they're often up in the loft, so you don't want to be frantically looking around cupboards trying to find it. And when it was last serviced, that's a really common question. But again, as the homeowner, you'll probably know that anyway. So no real great secrets. Be on time. Have it nice and light. Make sure it's tidy as possible. Your kids' toys are fine. People are buying a home, so don't worry about it. Doesn't have to be completely clear. And again, if you've got a room you're really proud of, maybe start there and finish there. So it's kind of twice, And
just make it comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah,
and enjoy it.
Just make it comfortable, And as I say, that's why, after all that, you probably realise why most people like us to go and do the viewings. But if you are in a situation where you're doing your own viewings, don't overthink it too much. Yeah, a lovely, pleasant conversation, and just show them the house.
Okay, that's great. Well, hopefully that's given people some tips and maybe some comfort if you're about to put your house on the market, or you're on the market, you've been doing some viewings. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of comfort in how to conduct a viewing. But if you want any more advice, then as always, get in touch with us. As Matt said, if you give our Facebook page a like, Charles David Casson Estates, or get us on Twitter at CDC_Chelmsford. And if you give this video a share to anybody that you think might find it useful, that'd be great.
Yeah, perfect. And give us a follow on Twitter, and we always follow back. Thanks very much.